Welcome back to the 12 Talk podcast with myself, Mitch, and what will be Josh very, very soon. He's just got a small emergency. We are here on the eve of the draft. The first round picks will be coming in within a matter of hours, and we are so hyped on the pod tonight. We are going to be talking about who we think the fans want at each position, who Mike Mack would want at each position, and who John Schneider would want to take as well. We're also going to have Charlie Wilson on tonight, and he is going to be going over the rumours and the welcome back. He's going to be going over the rumours with us and give us some stuff hot off the press. We're going to grill him about what he knows about new Seahawks jerseys as well when he comes on. But welcome back, Josh. All good?
Thank you. Yeah, parenting doesn't stop. Sorry, everyone. Thank you very much for joining in. Well done, Mitch. I'm pretty sure that intro was fantastic.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Hey, I think you've probably told everyone what we're doing. Obviously, you've spoken about Charlie.
Yes.
Yeah. And then after that, it's just a matter of go on. You carry on. Actually, I've butted in. You go.
No. I reckon we hit the intro and we take it from there. To be honest,
right? Well,
shall we?
Have you told everyone about the drafts, the mocks that we're reviewing and everything?
Yeah. So I've talked about the fact that we're going to try and talk about the angles, and yeah, love it,
dude. Well, in that case, I'm just going to hit the intro music and let's get into it.
So.
There we go. And with that, we are back. The gruesome twosome. Sorry, I do now have my child's bedroom camera on my phone next to me just in case, because she was sleepwalking. And my wife is currently in New Zealand for 2 weeks. So solo dadding. Full on daddy daycare. Just what you want on the day of the draft, isn't it? Thank you for everyone who's tuning in. Thank you if you're coming to us via YouTube, X, Facebook, whatever. Get your comments in with everything we're going to be discussing. When Charlie pops on, he is coming to us he's in the weeds of the draft in his professional job. So he's literally coming into us in between interviewing draft prospects. So he'll be able to give us a bit more information and hopefully give us some rumors and any rumblings. If you are a first-time viewer, thank you so much for tuning in. If you could like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share it with your friends, your family, anyone who wants to watch, we'd really appreciate it. It really helps the channel grow. If you like what we're doing as well, you can buy us a coffee or a beer. Buy me a beer or buy me a coffee. The link is in the description down there. And for anyone who isn't part of, I'm putting up the wrong thing, aren't I? Every time, my mirrored camera. Amateur hour. And then for anyone who isn't part of it, we have a Discord. Now, the link for our Discord channel is pinned on our X. Mitch has chucked that up just before. Sorry, it's that way for Mitch. And we're going to be hosting. Now, you're trying to do it now, aren't you? Like,
I did it wrong on purpose, just to mock. Sorry.
Cheers, mate. Cheers. Now you're just going to confuse me. But yeah, we're going to be hosting a draft watch party live as well. So you can hop on The Voice. You can video if you want to. You don't have to. Mitch and I are in the UK, so it starts at 1 a.m. So we'll both be bleary-eyed and may not be on video. But we'll be watching that together. We can throw in comments, predictions. We can talk about anything there as well. And at the end of today, we're going to be doing our final mock draft. So we're going to be talking about first of all, what we think the fans want, what John Schneider wants, and what Mike Mack wants. But we'll be doing our own mock draft using Walk the Mock at the end, and this will be our final one. That is it. No more for, well, I don't know about me, but I don't know about Mitch, but for me, no more till the run up to the next draft. Mitch, being our draft goblin, will probably be looking at all the prospects and whatnot and where they'll go by midway through the season, at least, if not already.
I'm probably going to be doing one tomorrow morning once I'll mock up what's happened in round one and try and work out what we're looking at. But you know,
there you
definitely
go.
the last one we'll be doing on a podcast, though, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. But yeah, if you do want to join in and use Walk the Mark, use our code 12Talk at checkout and you get 20% off your subscription. Absolutely awesome. And with that, our guest has just arrived. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to welcome Mr. Charlie Wilson. Charlie, how you doing, mate? In the thick of it.
Hello, how are we?
Oh,
Yeah,
good, mate. Good.
It's been a long few days, but here we are. Let's go.
Right, just when I spoke to you the day, so you just come back from New York. Obviously, you're not in Detroit at the moment. You're working from home, covering it there. But how's today been for you?
All good. It's been it's more yesterday that was long. Like I'd finished off all the draft guide work and just getting last preparations to make sure everything's ready for tonight. We kind of make sure like we don't want anything to pop up tonight, but we're not predicting. So we've sort of got thrown everything at it. So it's all there ready to go. When something happens, boom, it's there. We're first. So yeah, the last 24 hours have just been sort of gathering information, looking at trends, seeing what's about. But today's all about the big day. Let's go.
That's it. Merry Draftmas, everyone. This is this and the start of the season are the days that I think everyone looks forward to. Before you jumped on, I was telling everyone what you've been doing and the fact you're sparing time for us in between sort of interviewing prospects and doing your usual thing. We did see that you put your first round mock out as well online. That was shared in our Discord, and a message about that. I think pretty much every pick you put in there is highly plausible. So anyone who's watching who doesn't follow Charlie can follow him at Charlie Reach. Is it Charlie Reach PLC or just Charlie Reach on X?
Yep. It's like Charlie Reach PLC, yep.
There you go. Follow him on there and you'll see all this stuff come through. He's got some fantastic coverage. Now, let's talk about the first round. So obviously you've done your mock. I should have put it up on screen for everyone to see, but talk us through it. Talk us through, first of all, let's just keep it really simple. Back end, but talk us through that first 16, the lead up. Has anything changed for you since you put it out there? You can give us a quick rundown.
A lot has changed since I put it out there.
Yeah.
I think I'm a bit behind you here. Might have an internet issue. 1 second. Can you hear me?
We certainly can hear you. A little bit of lag. Yep. So I think what this is Charlie's computer's probably overloaded with all the draft stuff that's coming in. So
I seem to have you now. I'm loads better. Loads better. To answer your question, yeah, a lot. Go on.
I was saying to everyone that obviously the lag is from all the pings you're getting for all the draft updates and everything. So go on, run us through that. So we obviously everyone can have a look at the piece that you've put out there. It was on the Daily Mirror, wasn't it? On their website, wasn't it, for the US section? But run us through, obviously. Let's do initially what you had in that top 10. Let's do the top 10, what you had and what may have changed with what you've heard, if anything. Can you remember?
So the top 10, I now don't think that the Vikings will trade up to 4. I think they'll trade up to 5 and the Chargers will trade down. It does seem Arizona are going to stick at 4 and draft Marvin Harrison Jr. That's kind of what everyone's been saying. But I do still think Minnesota will trade up into a top 5 and take JJ McCarthy. The Chargers do want to trade down. I think they've pretty much made that aware. You see like random journalists who aren't some of the big names throw it out, which tends to mean it's true. So yeah, I do think it'll stay the same as in my previous mock draft, which is Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels at 2, Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4, JJ McCarthy at 5. And then I now think that the Bears will take a tackle rather than Rome Odunze. Caleb Williams has mentioned that he wants to take Olu Fashanu. He's told that to journalists yesterday, and it does now seem that the Bears are leaning towards taking a tackle, even though they have two pretty solid tackles already on the roster, and Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones, I believe his name is. So that would be a bit of a surprise. After that, it's kind of all over the place. I'll just go into a few things that I think will happen. I think the Eagles are going to trade up into around the 14 to 18 range, so maybe with Seattle. The Eagles desperately want a corner, so that's going to be either Quinyon Mitchell or Terry Arnold, maybe Cooper DeJean. I would say that's the third most likely, though. And my final thing that I will say is I don't have Troy Fatanu in the first round. And that's not because I don't like him. He's my favourite tackle in the draft. Very close with Joe Alt. I think the issue is going to be a reason why teams may not take him off board. And it just takes 2 or 3 teams to take him off the board, which could see him fall down. So don't be shocked if he falls down out of the first round. It's not because of the talent, it's because of the knee.
Yeah, it's the knee issue was something that I heard about a couple of days ago. And it screamed to me, Abe Lucas, if it's going to be one of those congenital, it just deteriorates over time. You might get a couple of good years out of him, but then it's going to take one thing to really spark it, and you're like, oh, do we have our starting tackle for however long now? We just invested a first round grade or first round draft capital on him, and he's no longer a player for us. So then you've got to restart the whole cycle again.
My take on it is it's a longevity concern rather than an initial one. It's can he be? If you're spending a first round pick on a tackle, you want them to be a cornerstone of your offensive line for 10 years, right? 8 to 10 years. And it looks to me like he'll make it out of his rookie contract and maybe another 3 years at best, and then that knee may deteriorate, right? So, or if they used to have another knee issue, like you say, it could then be something that, exacerbates that problem or, worsens it or accelerates that deterioration. So I get it. I can see why you're saying that. And it does also seem to me that after us, the favorite tackles are Mims and Guyton and players like that anyway, with teams like the Cowboys. So I feel like if he falls past us, he might stumble further anyway. So there's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of credit to what you say there. I can see it.
Have you heard any other rumblings about players that people may have a higher grade on than teams?
JC Latham, tackle from Alabama, might go top 10, which to me it would be a shock. He's my 5th tackle, I believe. I really like JC Latham. I think he's really good. I just think this tackle class is very, very good. And to me, it would be a surprise to see Latham drafted that highly. He's only played right tackle, played it well, not expertly, in my opinion. That would be a bit of a shock to see him drafted above the likes of Talius Fawaga, Amarius Mims, Troy Fatanu, if he is healthy, and maybe perhaps even Joe Alt, which would be a big shock. JC Latham is someone to watch out for, potentially even to the Bears at 9. Maybe the biggest shock could be the Titans at 7, but I'm also not well. There's been talk that the Titans are probably leaning towards wide receiver if the tackle they want isn't there. I'm not sure how legitimate that talk is, and what wide receiver would they,
with D-Hop and Calvin Ridley now as their wide receivers 1 and 2, and whoever else they've got. That seemed like a wasted pick. The big thing they're going to need to do is, and I said this in earlier mocks that we did, is protect Will Levis or Tannehill, whoever's going to be starting for you, because Tannehill is getting on. He's getting brittle bone syndrome, as some players that get hit a lot do. Will Levis, if he's going to be the future of that franchise, they need to keep him upright to be able to do something with these wide receivers. I think tackle is the way they need to go.
They need to. Agreed. Yeah. I spoke to a Titans fan who just said, Titans reporter who just said, don't rule it out. He really wants a young ascending wide receiver 1 who they think they can find in the draft. I guess it does seem to be the case that O'Dunn's, Neighbors, and Marvin Harrison Jr. are 3 of the players who are seen as the best in the draft, which isn't much of a shock, but it does seem like none of those 3 will fall. So they could go in the top 8 picks as well.
Oh wow. So I mean, with that, have you heard any trade down or trade up rumors apart from the ones you've mentioned?
No, not really. Only ones that are flying around on Twitter already. The only one which is really, really obvious is the Eagles are desperate to trade. Like I say, you've got random reporters out the Philadelphia area, even some of the big name reporters now are suggesting, still suggesting that the Eagles want to trade up. It's been flown out so many times. They're desperate to move up to get a cornerback, and probably rightly so, because the middle of the first round is the sweet spot for cornerbacks to be taken, and the Eagles are in win now mode. They want to go get the best player they can. So I imagine if Mitchell and Arnold are both available at 16, Seattle will get a call, and I think Seattle will take that call as well.
I think so as well. Mitch said that the Eagles one of his preferred trade partners. For me, it was always Detroit. But again, I think they're two teams that are just desperate trying to find that missing piece to win more games. So we've done the rest of the league. What about the Seahawks? What have you heard? What do you know? Come on, fill us in.
I've heard nothing about the Seahawks.
Oh.
I don't have many. I know one reporter in Seattle who has told me a little bit here and there, but I guess the only thing to probably throw out there is I don't think Byron Murphy will be available at 16. I think he might go to the Falcons at 8, or potentially to the Raiders, even though they've just signed Christian Wilkins. I think Byron Murphy, or the Vikings, at 11 as well. I think Byron Murphy will be gone. And I actually think he's the player that Seattle will be targeting as their number one option, as the most realistic option at 16. So if he's gone, and Fatanu's got the knee injury, there's been no buzz at all about Fawaga in Seattle, like none. There has been with Fataну, obviously. There has been with some of the tackles as well. And there has been with some of the cornerbacks recently in the last few days, which I don't understand. I mean, I think it was Daniel Jeremiah put Terran Arnold to Seattle, and he's obviously very well connected.
I've seen that mock, and I thought, what?
The only thing about Josh and Mitch, the only thing which I could, if they trade Reek Woolen for a second or third round pick, I can see that. It's a selection that Seattle fans will not like. Like, we need trenches, but I think Seattle are in rebuild mode. They need to take the best player available, and that's what they'll probably do. And if Arnold's that player, then they'll take him.
Yeah, I like Cooper DeJean the most if we are going to take a corner, but I do love the idea of having another really physical corner that's so great in run support and can do everything, and blitz as well. Like having guys that can play the perimeter and can mix it in the box and at the line of scrimmage is so Mike Mack. So, but Cooper DeJean brings that positional versatility that also is needed. So I could see why we would do it, and I can see why it's being mocked, honestly. But like you say, fans want trenches, and I'd be disappointed if we don't come out of this draft with more depth and more talent on both sides of the ball in the trenches.
My thing is, what we're going to learn a lot after today, the kind of team Seattle want to be. If they want to be the kind of team the Ravens were, the kind of team Seattle have wanted to be for years, this ground and pound, win in the trenches, hard nosed, tough, stop the run team, then they'll take a trenches player. And if they take a safety, and I'll rephrase that. If they take a trenches player, they're probably thinking, we want to win in 2-3 years. If they take a safety or a corner, I think this is just like, we're rebuilding this roster. This might take 3 years. It might take 4 years. I think a trenches player is a win now sort of move where they want to accelerate the rebuild and really push on straight away. A cornerback, I can't see how that's improving the team in the long run at all. Like, they're just that in the short term, should I say? They need trenches. So if they take best player available, it'll just be a sign that they're rebuilding. And if that's the case, then don't be shocked to see Geno Smith traded in a year, or Reek Woolen traded, or even DK Metcalf traded. Like, we don't know what's going to happen.
We've got one of our regular viewers, listeners, and members of the Discords coming in there. Cheers, Sam. Having 3 great cornerbacks isn't the end of the world. It's not, but again, I think it's just a matter of that those trenches are something that have just plagued us for so long. I mean, even though you've got Williams has re-signed, Reed's fantastic. Hopefully, Draymond Jones can come into his own. Having another game-changing D lineman, a young one on a 4-year contract with a 5th-year option, I think is a no-brainer. So, yeah, 3 great cornerbacks to rotate, absolutely fine. It means you can play one of them, whoever's best suited in the nickel. And we know Spoon can do that, but he wants to play on the outside. So, yeah, thank you very much for that. And also, massive thank you to Eric, just very quickly, saying, love what you're all doing across the pond. And Charlie, that's you too.
Thank you, Eric.
There you go. As you're supping on your giant can of energy drink.
Sparkling water.
All right, okay. I've got mine for later. Mine's just a massive kind of monster because I know I'm going to be up. I'm going to be like, I'll wait and see what the Seahawks draft at 16 or who, and then I'll go to bed and get ready to take my daughter to nursery in the morning. And I know for a fact I'll stay up for the whole thing, and I'll be like, it's 5 a.m. What am I doing? And she'll wake up, and I'll be like, right, let's go. Which means Friday is nap time for Josh. But yeah, I mean, with that, I mean, we're going to look through some mocks. So basically, what Mitch and I have done. I don't know how much time you've got, actually, Charlie.
No, 15 minutes.
Happy days. Cool. I reckon we can buzz through them then.
I was going to say I can introduce the concept if you like and try and explain what we created. So we basically popped a spreadsheet together, looking at
Obviously.
who Mike Mack would want, who John Schneider would want, and who the fans would want at each pick. So you can see who the favorite would be. We're just going to ideally just put it up in front of you and see if you agree or disagree or have an alternate view. Really, if Josh has got the slide, we can chuck that out.
Got it here. By having 3 of us on, all my stuff goes offline. I spent so long lining all this up,
squaring it all up.
That's it. Obviously, as usual, our draft stuff is presented by the UK Seahawkers Booster Club, official Booster Club. You can join the UK Seahawkers for £12 a year or £20 for a full membership. You get all these cool goodies, which this year are all throwback related. Absolutely amazing stuff. And then we've also got a national meet coming up as well. And just a very quick shout out to our friends at the German Seahawkers, Jonas, who was one of our first ever guests, for sending me and Mitch a nice little goodie bag. We've got a nice patch there, 1 sticker, another sticker, and another sticker. And what I'll be drinking my tea out of for this pod. Yeah, by all means, follow them. They are GER Seahawkers, I believe. Jonas will probably correct me if he's in the comments. Amazing, great stash, and massive supporters of the pod, and we really appreciate them. So let's get into this. So Mitch, let's go through yours first, mate.
Yeah, so my fan pick there for round 1 was Fatanu. I think looking at mocks, he's just been heavily mocked there. I think the last couple of days maybe have made people wind that back a little bit, but it seems to be the consensus amongst fans is Fatanu. Mike Mack have put maybe as Dijon being his dream pick there. Just a very versatile piece that makes big plays. And then John Schneider potentially wanting Byron Murphy as his number 1 choice. Where do you stand on that? Do you think that kind of nails the consensus there amongst fans?
I would have thought so, yeah. Amongst fans, I mean, absolutely. It feels like every Seattle fan wants Fatanu, and I get it. Like, so do I. I think it's fantastic. Versatile, really good. He loves Seattle. Like, it's an ideal pick for not just for fans, but I think the coaches and everyone as well.
Yeah, there's an emotional side to that as well. What do you think about Dijon as well? You think that would be someone Mike Mack looks at and thinks he can do a lot with as well? Highly polished player. I
do, yeah. I was on a Miami podcast the other day, and 2 years ago I spoke about Cal Hamilton, and I was a big fan. So his best player in the draft. And they kind of compared Dijon to Hamilton, and they do similar things. They're not the same player. Dijon is way quicker, but way stiffer. Like, he's straight line speed. Kyle Hamilton can fly around. He's better in the open field. He's got better feel for the game, whereas DeJean is more of a raw athlete who can make plays that you're like, wow, I've not seen that from a cornerback. But what he is, Mitch, is like Hamilton, he's versatile, like you say. And we know that McDonald wants versatile players on his defense so he can create that misdirection, that this guy's blitzing, no, that guy's blitzing, that guy's going into coverage. So DeJean is a perfect player for that role. I would just caution fans to, he's not Kyle Hamilton. He's a different kind of player, but at the same time, he's going to be fun.
I agree. Looking at some of those then, any of those jump out to you as being particularly accurate, or any that you think would be wide of the mark? I've put Nealand in there as John Schneider's potential round 3 pick, just because I know we've done a lot of research on Nealand, and that big physical end sort of style is something we've used previously. I figured maybe that is what they're looking at him for. Yeah,
my thing is about, and I like Nealand. I think he's fine. They better not draft Marshawn Nealand, in my opinion. They drafted Derek Hall. Like, do not that was your draft pick last year. Like, and you drafted Boy Maffei the year before, and Darrell Taylor the year before that. Like, come on, have some conviction in the players you've drafted, and stop trying to replace them. Like, give them time. I didn't like Derek Hall as a draft pick, and to be honest, I'm not sold. I think he's got talent, but I'm not sold on what he is going forward. If they draft Marshawn Nealand, they are really hampering his development and taking snaps away from him. And I just don't see why they need that kind of player in round 3 when they have such big needs, like Zach Zinter at guard, who would be a fantastic pick. So I understand why John Schneider would want him, because John Schneider loves drafting big ends. But yeah, I think fans rightly would be right in selecting Zinter over Nealand. And I love Jaden Hicks too, by the way.
Yeah, nice. Any other ones on there before we switch to Josh? Is anyone jumping out there that you think is accurate, or anyone you would like to add in that you think would be like a Mike Mack pick in the later rounds in one of those spots? Or
yeah, a lot of Seahawks fans are Dominique Hampton. Did you guys watch the national championship game? Dominic Hampton was terrible. Like, he was really, really bad.
Yeah.
It's not just that he was bad. It was like he's being targeted. And I thought he had a good season, right? And I watched that game. And then I went back to watch the games that he played in. And you can see it. He does take bad angles. He's not that great covering the field. I think he's a 6th, 7th round, but some people have him as a 3rd, 4th round pick. That is lunacy.
Not a chance.
That is lunacy. Like, what are you like? Some people they'll criticize someone for one thing, but then praise someone for the other thing, but ignore the negatives which that same player had. Dominique Hampton is a fine 3rd round safety, but calm down on Dominique Hampton is all I'll say. But the one I do like, Mitch, is Brandon Coleman. I think he'll be a really good guard. And in round 4, I think I've got him in round 3 on my board. I would like to see that happen. The Washington linebacker, who's like 44 years old there, Olafashio.
Olafashio, yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah. Do you not just think like Ben Burkervin 2.0 though? Like, I mean, he'll be fine, but
yeah, that's why I put him in the fan column rather than. Yeah, true. That's why I put him in the fan column. I thought I'd do some fan service in the later rounds there and chuck in some local talent. But yeah, why don't you chuck yours up then, Josh? Take us through some of yours. Here we go.
Mine, very much the fans. Obviously, this was before all the Fatanu stuff came up, but I've gone very similar to Mitch with the fans of the Mike Mack. I think Mike Mack will look at DeJean and go, I can use him. And then for John Schneider, I've put Latu or Bowers. I've just put best player available. I should just put BPA, because I have a feeling that this is just going to be that draft where, unless we get a great offer from like the Eagles, he's just going to go best player available. Who is it? And if Latu's there, regardless of who he's drafted at edge, he's going to take Latu. If Bowers is there, he's going to go, I don't care that I've just paid Noah Fant a load of money. That's a generational tight end. Bring him in. 2nd round, Mahogany for the fans, because I've seen him everywhere. Pooney for Mike Mack, and then Chris Jenkins for Schneider. And then the one that the common consensus here, I think, is James Williams in the 4th round for Mike Mack, because even though he's listed as a linebacker, he can play linebacker or safety, and I think that's that movable feast that he wants in the middle of his field.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I'll stick with those first sort of rounds 1, 3, and 4. What do you think? And then have a look over the rest, because once you've done this, you can go. Me and Mitch will go over these fully, but we just wanted your opinion on these.
Yep. So I love Taylor Demison. He's my 2nd best safety in the class. I think he's fantastic. So round 4 all day. Thank you very much. I've got a 2nd round grade on him. Chris Jenkins is fine. Like, he doesn't really, at the start of the process, I liked him, and then when you watch him back, he's like, didn't really do much, did he? Like, he's just a fine role player, I guess. Pooney would be good. Mahogany would be good. Obviously, we spoke about Fautano and DeJean. Latu, I'm not sure he's the best scheme fit for Seattle. I think they're going to want quicker get off on these stunts. So I think Jared Verse, even though we're going to play a 3-4, might be someone that they prefer, or even a Chop Robinson. So I'm not sure Latu will be someone that they target. I could be wrong.
So I just today watched is it called The Rush? Max Crosby's pod, where he had Latu on. And one of the questions was 4-3 defensive end or 3-4 outside linebacker. And he said 3-4 outside linebacker. And at that point, I thought he's pricking up people's ears now as to who plays in a 3-4.
Yeah.
And that's where, if he drops there and it's best player available, I think they're going to look at that and go, that could be our guy.
And I mean, I get that because of his size, but I don't know. I see him as a 4-3 guy. Obviously, I'm not him, so he knows him better than me. But he's someone who wins with technique and hand placement and pass rushing moves rather than his speed and get off. And it doesn't feel like Mike McDonald wants the just 4 linemen, beat your man. He's very much disguise and blitzes and different packages. So I'd be surprised if it's Latu. He could change his defense, or he could find a role for Latu and, you do this. So it could happen. I just don't see it, even though he is mocked to Seattle quite a bit. And yeah, Brock Bowers would be fantastic. And finally, can I just say Nathaniel Jackson from Texas A&M?
McKinney Jackson.
Yeah, McKinney. Yeah.
No, sorry, Nathaniel Jackson. Nathaniel Watson.
Watson. There we go. Right.
There you go. Yeah.
What's called? Is he at Texas A&M?
No.
Yes.
Is Watson A&M?
Where's number 14, doesn't he?
He does. Let me just double check.
Either way, I quite like him. He's a good blitz linebacker. He's just a bit stiff. But in Seattle's system, he could
A&M.
be a good 3rd rounder.
Who was I thinking of that isn't there? I'm going to shout that out randomly. Sorry to everyone who's watching. I'm going to shout out randomly what the player it was. But yeah, quick question. As we've both had James Williams on our draft, before we let you go, what are your thoughts on him?
He's a tweener. He can't really play linebacker and he can't really play safety in the traditional roles. However, in Seattle's system, which we keep going back to, roles will be carved out for potential people like him. He can blitz. He tackles well in the open field. He can be a legit tight end stopper. If that's the only role he has, then fantastic. Seahawks carried bloody Akeem King for 3 years, and his whole role was to be a tight end stopper, and he couldn't do it for Toffee. But so we know that John Schneider likes these kind of players. He's not someone like he's not Cam Chancellor just because he's big. Like he's not that kind of player. He's a very interesting prospect. I'm not so high on him, like 5th round. Okay, that's great, but yeah, if I can find out a role for him, his measurables and what he can do is exciting, and he's a very specific role-specific player. but he's fun to watch. So I'm all for it if they can find out.
Don't you go peeing on our chips here, mate. We're very high on him. Mitch put me onto him, and the more film I watched, the more I saw his versatility. And I was just thinking purely in a Mike Max system, the disguise and where he can move around. I thought it'd be perfect, especially pick him up round 4 and below. I wouldn't go any higher than that.
It's aggression for me as well that I like with him. He does everything with intent, and I really like that. I think that's such a Seahawks sort of way to play. So yeah, look good. One final thing from me, Charlie. Quick one. How much stock do you put in the rumor that we are revealing a new jersey with our first round pick tonight?
So I've asked someone about this,
I promised the Discord I'd ask. So.
The guys I know in Seattle have heard nothing about it, but at the same time, like the way it was tweeted and how quickly it was deleted does seem to suggest that there's a embargo and he broke it. He can get in massive trouble for that, and I hope he does. If it is true, then shame on you, man. But I hope so. I really want new jerseys, as long as they don't look like those disgusting Denver Broncos jerseys. They are
no Blue Mountain State jerseys, don't you mean? They're drafting Thad Castle.
Yeah.
I'm sad. I've just binge watched that in the last 2 weeks.
So good.
To answer your question, Mitch, I've unfortunately heard nothing, but I hope so. I hope it's true.
That's a really good way to stay out of trouble, dude. Well done.
I was going to say that's not breaking any embargo. That's my hat collection down for Swanee. I'm not sure. These and buy new ones. Yeah. Before we go, Charlie, because we know you're really busy, obviously, with the build up to the draft. Do you want to tell everyone where they can find you, what you're doing, what you're going to be tweeting? Go for it, dude.
Yep. So it's Charlie Reach PLC on Twitter. Over the last 10 days, I've written predictions on 180 players, profile ratings, strengths, weaknesses, all you need to know. Big board mock draft, predicting the draft. The big board is what I think should happen. The mock is predicting what will happen. Going to be live throughout the night on the Mirrors live blog. Hearing things, ear to the ground, reporting things. It's going to be I'm working for 12-hour shift. So it's going to be.
It must be hard doing what you love.
It's for draft. I'm here for it. I can't complain.
And hopefully you'll re-download Discord and jump into ours, mate.
I'll try jump in if I've got time, yeah.
If you've got time, mate. If not, don't worry. I just want to say, Charlie, thank you so much for hopping on again. It's always a pleasure speaking to you. Hopefully we'll catch up after the draft and then we can say how wrong or right we all were. That's always a fun one. It's like character assassination between podcast hosts. But with that, Charlie, you get back to doing what you need to do. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And we'll speak to you again soon.
Anytime. All best, guys. Cheers. See you soon.
Bye.
Take it easy, dude.
There you go, everyone. That was Charlie. He's an absolute legend. Second time he's come on the pod. He's very, very open to speaking with us, and he knows his stuff. Before we go through our mocks and we do our final mock, I just want to go through a couple of the comments that have come through. So thank you everyone who's engaging via the comments. It really means a lot. It helps the algorithms as well, so more people see us, more people can discuss Seahawks with us, join our Discord. And obviously if you're watching this the first time, if you do want to hop on an episode, this is a community podcast. This is by 12s, for 12s, with 12s, and we want to live by that. So during the season we want 12s on every episode, no matter where you're from. Come on, we want to speak to you, get your views heard. But just very quickly, so let's rattle through these. Eric, DK Metcalf traded. Please don't put that out to universe. I'm sorry, my friend, you just did by writing that. And it's one thing that I'm quite adamant on. I don't want to see it. I think he is wide receiver 1 for us. I think he's a future team captain. I tweeted this the other day. If I'm looking at building a forward-thinking, aggressive, young team, I want those type of leaders. I want DK on the offense, maybe with a quarterback if you have 2 captains. On the defense, I want someone like Spoon or Julian Love just to really drive that culture. UK 12 man back again. He agrees with Charlie. Give me beef. Yeah. Let's at least make a team nasty to play against. I completely agree. while we build the next Super Bowl winning team? Yes. And also, Dominic Hampton will probably retire in a week anyway. Is that when he goes undrafted?
Charlie is right that he got absolutely roasted at points in the season, but you can point at a lot of prospects that get seen as a weak spot, and it's a really talented Washington team. Dominic Hampton put together 6 years of tape in Washington. He's a real mature player, and whilst he has his limitations, which obviously show with a 6th round projection there, he is a really experienced, ready to play prospect. He has got upside in being super well drilled, and I could see him really being worth a 6th round pick with our shallow safety room. Let's call it that. It's not a guy you're picking and thinking he can be a starter in 3 or 4 years. You pick him as a depth rotational piece. So I still really like Dominic Hampton, but Charlie's concerns are absolutely on the nail.
Yeah, I think as well. It's, I mean, is it going to be an age thing? Although he has started all the way through his college career, I think it's just one of those to be seen. But I think we are going to end up bringing at least one Washington player, whether it's a Coug or a Husky, in on this draft. Big shout out to Card Craze. He's one of our YouTube subscribers. Thank you so much. From Canada, I won't make any jokes because I've got a lot of Canadian friends, and one of my really good friends is moving out there very soon. So, and thank you again, UK12 man, for saying Nathaniel Watson is Mississippi State. He is. I was completely wrong. I saw the jersey color and went, "Yup." Right.
It made sense to me as well when it was brown shirt colored teams or whatever color,
maroon, whatever it is. Anyway,
yeah.
So again, thank you everyone that's watching. Please make sure you like. If you are watching live, don't hesitate to share if you can. Let your friends know that we're on, and then get them to comment, because I'm pretty sure people will want to have a chat about what we think the fans are going to pick. So, Mitch, we're back at yours. So obviously you've done your first round, then run us through the next lot of rounds. Doesn't need to be justification. Just sort of, we can just say, let the viewers decide what they think.
Yeah. So go to round 4 there. We got James Williams and for the fans pick and the Mike Mack pick. I think that's Mike Mack's looking at him as a really versatile piece. We touched on that with Charlie. I think the fans are looking at James Williams as a hammer in we want teams to fear catching the ball over the middle again, and James Williams brings that fear. John Schneider's might be looking there at Theo Johnson if he's still there in round 4. That's a really, really physically talented player that needs a bit of polish. But definitely, there's so much upside for round 4 there. Probably gone by the end of round 3. Brandon Coleman, Charlie mentioned, is a really athletic, versatile lineman that we really like. Tyron Hopper's a guy that we've not talked about too much, but Tyron Hopper is a guy that I hated when mocked to the Seahawks before we got Mike Mack, because not the most sure tackler, but he is a serious blitzing linebacker that can do it all. He can do it all. He's jack of all trades, master of none, but is an extremely good rusher. So I see Tyron Hopper as a versatile defensive weapon that Mike Mack would absolutely love. Michael Pratt there for John Schneider. Michael Pratt is quite divisive. Not as divisive as Spencer Rattler, but that's a man that put Tulane on his back, right? And he's really interesting. He's probably the last, in my opinion, of the prospect quarterbacks you could get outside of the first round. Like he is worth carrying on your roster for a few seasons if you've got a starting quarterback. I think he's probably the best in the middle rounds there. So if he's available in round 4, snap that off. Olafosio we've spoken about. Tip Raymond there as well. Tight end, loads of upside there. Christian Boyd. This is not a deep defensive line class at all, but Christian Boyd's a guy we've had in for interviews. There's obviously intrigue there. we've done extensive scouting on him, and if we haven't taken much in terms of the defensive line by this point, and he's available, with us already having intel on him, I could see John Schneider snapping that one off, which is why I've put him in there. Dominic Hampton, we've mentioned from a fan's perspective, that's just a homer for the team. Huge amount of experience. Nathaniel Watson, we've mentioned there. I don't think he necessarily lasts to the 6th round, but if we are in a position where we're looking for a linebacker that can wear the green dot, for this franchise, there's a guy that's done it. Makes a lot of sense to take a linebacker late.
Just to caveat all this as well, we know that we've not put the 7th rounder in there, but I don't think it needs to be in there, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah, that 7th round could be anything, and so speculating on it just seems a little bit wild.
Yeah, it's just a punt, isn't it? I'll run through mine quickly before we get onto the members of the Discord. So if you're not a member of the Discord and you're watching, by all means, jump in. The link is in the description to this. You can jump in, you can join, be part of the conversation. We're going to try and do this as much as possible and get our Discord opinions in here. It's a nice place for everyone to get together, have a chat. And it's much easier for us to collate the information than it is over X or Facebook or anything else. So I've been through my first 2 rounds. So the 1st and the 3rd, 4th round, one player we didn't mention, Cedric Gray as a linebacker. I just think he would be a fantastic prospect for that sideline to sideline. I think he will be able to come in and he'll make an impact straight away. And then round 4, our second pick in round 4, for the fans, I've gone for Brendan Rice because I've seen so many people talking about him being a prospect that we could have to take over from someone like Tyler Lockett. Obviously, he's Jerry Rice's son as well. I don't see us taking a wide receiver in the 4th. It'd be anything after the 4th for me. And then we've got Mike Mack's Leonard Taylor, purely because I love him. But I think Mike Mack will look at the intangibles he's got, his speed, his ability to get through an O-line and create some havoc on a pretty consistent basis. Will do well. And I've put Zach Zinter here in the 4th, purely because with his injury, I don't know if he's going to have been overlooked and he may drop. If he does, you run to the podium for that. And even if you need to spend a year getting him fully right,
yes. That's going to be one of the really interesting stories this weekend, I think, is just how far he falls. Because some people are talking about him like he's a 5th rounder, but this was guard 1 for a lot of people before his injury, months ago. And there are players like Beebe and Barton, and Jackson Powers Johnson, who are now considered more polished interior linemen. But his quality of play hasn't changed. He's just recovering from an injury. It's only his first year that's affected. So whether some teams go, no, I still think he's the guy, and they take him, he could be a 2nd rounder, but people are still putting 5th round grades on him. I could go anywhere.
It could, and this is what I think. Unless John Schneider's put in it's like a red herring, where he has said, I think, O-linemen get drafted too high. I don't like how much they get paid. I still think that that's a spot where he may look for someone that he can start after year 1, and then they will be starters for the remainder of their rookie contract, if not beyond. So if we go on to round 6, or first pick of round 6, I've got Javian Cohen, 6'4", 305 pound defensive lineman. Yes, fans have all sort of pointed towards that. Nathaniel Watson's in there for me with Mike Mack. We've already mentioned him. And I've got Damon Holker. No, I can never remember his first name. I should have put it in there. For some reason, I just wrote his last name.
It's Dalen Holker.
Dalen Holker.
Not a usual name, to be fair.
But I think Holker is just one of those tight ends. If we don't go for someone like Bowers in the first round and we look to get a tight end, I think John Schneider's going to look at Holker and think he can sit in the depth, possibly a practice squad player for a bit, learn his trade, and he will rock it up there. Because you've got to think, especially when you've got, it's going to be Pharaoh Brown, and then who? We've got 2 of the tight ends.
quick point on Holker. One thing I really didn't like, one thing I really disliked, was at the combine when he was doing his catching drills, and you know how everyone catches, throws it down, and
Yeah.
uses both hands to just be super secure. He was showboating, catching and not dropping them, and still making his catches. And whilst it was, I remembered it right. So he's done his job. He's done his job, sticking in the mind. But I couldn't help but think, the most important job interview of your life, use both hands. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
It's
two hands are for losers, mate. Who needs that?
yeah, maybe I'm old fashioned.
And then in the back around 6 for the fans, and I kind of put this out there into the world as well. I put Dylan Johnson, so the fans, because it's going to give Grubb a familiar player out of the backfield. It gives us more depth. After losing DJ Dallas, it's just another running back to add into that rotation. Although those who have seen the videos, you can see McIntosh has been getting chummy with the new head coach. I'd love to know what he said and if it actually was funny. But there you go.
Just laughing at it for keep him sweet. One thing I will say about Dylan Johnson. Sorry to keep butting in.
Go.
Dylan Johnson excelled in a gap running scheme. Now Zach Charbonnet is a gap running running back as well. Dylan Johnson knows exactly the kind of scheme that we're going to be running next year, whereas our running backs don't. So taking a running back in the 6th round that's familiar with a gap running scheme immediately could really help integrate that defense. And if you establish one thing quickly in a new offense, and it be the run game, that's a great head start, right? You know, if you can establish run game quickly, you don't need to do too much as a quarterback to supplement that. You can, you just keep the chains moving, and we've got the talent. So yeah, I quite like it. If he's there for you in the 6th, interesting pick.
And then we've got Hampton and Cohen again. We've discussed. Just obviously, Cohen is one of John Schneider's picks in the later rounds, and Hampton again for Mike Mack. Very quick hello to Braden. How you doing? From Noble Sports Podcast, one of our other guests. Mitch agrees. I kind of lean that way, but again, it all depends who's available. If someone surprising drops to 16 that they've got as a top 10 talent, it's going to be very hard for the Seahawks, for John Schneider, to trade back. If he thinks that's a game changer, he can get a 16 that should have gone in the top 10. He is going to be, it might be a coin flip for him as to, do we get a later first and a second, or do we take this guy who could be an absolute superstar? But I've said throughout this whole pre-draft process that I think trading back, picking up a late first and maybe a second is the way to go. And with that, shall we go on to the consensus for the members of our Discord?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do that.
Mitch, I'll hand this one off to you because you're the man who put all this together. But for anyone watching, this is the consensus for the members of our Discord. When we put it out there, they put names upon names out there. We've got private messages and everything. And this is what we've come up with for them. So, Mitch, go for your life, my friend.
Yeah, so first round pick there in Discord, Jared Verse. And I think that's a really interesting one because he's a really good fit for what we're going to be doing off the edge. Whether he makes it to us is another question. Listening to what Charlie said earlier, with Byron Murphy potentially going to the Falcons, it may delay the sort of cascade of edges going, because a lot of people had Dallas Turner going there. If Dallas Turner isn't off the board already by the Falcons, then Dallas Turner potentially goes just before us, maybe Latu just before us, maybe versus the guys. So that's a really interesting one there. Puny, I think we've talked about him a lot as well. I think a lot of us like him. I personally love the irony of his name. Having one of the biggest blokes on the team called Puny is hilarious,
Puny.
and I'm here for it. Cade Stover is my favourite Cowboy tight end.
If you've not seen the video, watch the video. Mitch put me onto it. We don't have to put it in the Discord later, but it's fantastic. It's just he has got, what do we call it, as a rugby player based like in the southeast of England, I call it farmer strength, and you'll know as well based on where you are. It's just inhuman strength, just from day to day, picking up hay bales, chasing cows. You see rugby players and football players all over that. You look at them and go, you don't look that big. And then you see them pick up something or do some amazing feat, and you go, where's that from? You look at their history and you go, I grew up on a farm. That makes sense.
Yeah, Cade Stover's got that strength, but it's interesting because you look at his frame and you think, well, that's more of a receiver type tight end, but he's serious in the run block game as well, and he competes like that. He shows that strength and that fieriness. So yeah, Cade Stover's a cool one. Like that pick. Malik Mustafa is a tackling machine.
This one.
Yeah, not flashy. You know, not going to be your flashy guy, but he is exactly what you want in a safety, a safe tackling guy that gets up in run support, willing tackler, and once he gets his hands on you, you're hitting the deck because every pound of him, you know, goes through you. So I like the Mustafa pick. Boyd we've talked about as well, like one of the few rare gems that will be available, I think, 5th and 6th round on the D line that's a worthy project. And Eichenberg is a guy that is extremely well coached. There's a few concerns with him over his athleticism and his stiffness and things like that. I think that people think that he may already be what he'll be at the next level at this stage, and you know, there's not an awfully high ceiling there. But what you do get is a really good sort of leader on the field. He's renowned for being a real locker room guy. So there is upside where there is an athletic upside. There is certainly leadership qualities and a decent, well coached skill set. So I like that one.
Eichenberg for me has had the biggest fall in draft position I've seen for a long time. There were people pegging him as 2nd round pick. You know, at one point he was a top linebacker in the class, and now he's what, linebacker 10, if not below that. Like we're pegging him in the 6th. Not pegging him. We're not going there, but like we're putting him in there. It's not new to us, but it's new to Disney. Deadpool reference for anyone who's watched the trailer. But yeah, it's just such a fall from grace, and everything I've seen from him, he looks like, to me, you could bring him in and he'd do a job if it was called upon. He'd obviously do well in special teams, and then after a couple of years, when he's learned the system and he's refined some of the fundamentals, he could be that fringe starter for you.
Yeah. It's similar for me to Dominic Hampton, actually. What we've mentioned, you know, Charlie said that the angles he takes and things aren't great, and there are certain areas where he can be targeted. It's similar for Eichenberg. However, he is very well coached, and you know there are intangibles there as well. I think similar for both players.
Yeah, I mean, with that, so they were the mocks. We're going to get onto the mock in a minute, but I really want to address sort of the burning question for so many people, and that is regarding the new unis. We have had, barring the Action Green that came out in, I want to say like 2018 or 2019. I have to double check that. And last year's throwback, we've had the exact same. And anyone who watches this pod regularly will know that I don't wear jerseys on the pod. I've got enough other Seahawks stuff in my wardrobe to wear, to the point where my wife asks, "Are you wearing that really? We're going out." I'm like, "Yeah, why not? Represent." I'm hoping, same as what Charlie said, that we do get some sort of update. As long as it doesn't look like the Blue Mountain State Broncos jersey, I'll be happy. I've seen a few mock-ups that I think would be fantastic. One in particular that I wish I'd taken a screen grab of, because it would allow us to then have the throwback as our alternate jersey. So it was a slightly lighter blue with the Seahawk, an updated Seahawk on the sleeve, without the stripes here, but still incorporating the feathers, the numbering and whatnot. And then there was a white option as well. And I thought you could literally have the home, the away, the alternate, and then leave space for one more. Whether we do the white throwback jersey would be, well, I know for a fact, and I'm going to live for this later. We were talking about on the Discord earlier that Seahawks Twitter X is going to erupt. And I am just going to feed on that all night. There's going to be so many comments that because it'll be really early in the UK, I'll be really tired. I'll be very facetious. And I'm just going to live for it. I will be looking at that jersey or whatever jersey they reveal in great depth, which is probably something we'll have to look at in the next pod as well, if it does get revealed. Mitch, what are your hopes for a new jersey?
Well, you mentioned the white throwback. I feel like the white throwback is a lock on now for this year. I think that will be announced at some point. However, in terms of anything they're going to announce tonight, potentially, I hope they don't venture too far from our trademark colours, because they are so distinctive amongst the other teams that we are, there's certain things about our jerseys that are just so unique to us. So as long as it respects the sort of the traditions and things, I'm fine with whatever they want to, whatever they want to do. Alternatively, as long as we get that white throwback this year, I'm absolutely fine with sticking with what we got as well. I'm not going to be heartbroken because I love this jersey. So yeah, I'm easy, but I love the idea of something being revealed with a first round pick. I think that would be such a Seahawk. Like when you look back to how we did the throwbacks and how good our media was with the throwbacks, it absolutely stands to reason that if we are going to announce a new jersey, they would do it in the best way they could imagine.
Go big or go home.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what makes me believe this could be a thing, because it would be, if there's a franchise of the 32 that would have the balls to do this, it's us. Proud of that.
And our media team's up for an award as well. Like, it's if they're up for that, first of all, whoever's in charge, give them a raise, because they do the best media out of any of the NFL teams, because everyone else I've seen is a bit although I do like the Texans. I'll put that out there into the world. I apologize, Seahawks fans. I like the Texans' new unis. Sue me.
Can I, with you saying that the media team are up for an award, can I just tell you which department will not be up for an award with the Seahawks? The guys who do the microphones, all of the media events. Those guys are as far away from us for an award.
You mean this one, the ones where you either get a player doing this, or you get a reporter asking a question and you still can't hear what's been said. Oh, one of those, yeah.
You've nailed it, mate. Honestly, our press conferences are awful.
All you need is one person or one person either side with a sling boom to go over whatever reporter's asking, and they just don't seem to get it. It's a massive bugbear. But anyway, that's rant done. Guys, let us know if you've not joined the Discord, get in there, or let us know in the comments what you're hoping to see. Should we get on to our final mock? Because let's do it.
I'm hyped.
Yeah. So we are going to be using, as always, Walk the Mock. So as I said earlier, if you want to use Walk the Mock as well, I know it's just gone past draft season, but for next year, it's definitely worth it. We're going to be using this exclusively. We'll throw out some others every now and again, but on the pod, we'll use this. If you want to use it and you do want to subscribe, whether it's for a month just before the mock, just before the draft, or annually, which will work out cheaper anyway, use our code 12Talk at the checkout. You'll get 20% off. So it makes it even cheaper for you.
Absolutely. No, and you mentioned that we're just coming out of draft season, but actually, if you go for the 1 year subscription, the draft season the draft is always the last weekend in April. So getting a year now is going to cover you for the lead up all the way to the draft next year as well. So,
ever the salesman. I love it, Mitch. Why am I doing these pitches? You should be doing this. I've got to knock off a nice angle. Tell them on garden leave, can't you? We've got allowed to do this. But yeah, so for this one, let's just do trading places. So the CPU is going to tell us what's a fair trade. Yes, I'll just sort of show you all this. So we'll go all the way down, pick the Seahawks here, continue. We'll go default rankings. We'll try and do our own rankings next year. Right. Are you ready, Mitch?
Ready. Let's go.
Let's start this draft. And we did have a comment on one of our videos the other week about the top 10 not necessarily being in order. Whilst I completely agree with that, I think every other mock draft engine is the same. There are so many mocks, and I get sort of 1 in 10 where you might get the top 3 that are accurate. But usually the top 10 are pretty much there or thereabouts. So if Caleb Williams falls to 16 now, I'm going to be like, oh, let's go for it. So
yeah, I think the computer algorithms always have that baked in randomness to them. And if the first 3, 4, 5 picks don't get some kind of surprising pick, every mock you do on that engine will be the same. So it needs to be baked into it, but I don't think computers, particularly
it's not.
deal
And
with that well.
This is my thing. I just take it with a pinch of salt every time. But we're going to try and make this our definitive final mock, so we'll have a chat about it. I appreciate we're going over our usual hour, but I think with it being draft night, it's worth it. So here we go. Jalen Daniels. There's Jalen Daniels has gone at 1. But then you look at these top 3, that's exactly where we think it's going to be. Marvin Harrison at 4, Turner to the Chargers there at 5, Neighbors to the Giants, Alt to the Titans, McCarthy to the Falcons. So if I'm looking at this top 10, that's very much how I think it might go anyway. And then Roma Dunze to the Bears, Mitchell to the Jets, Penix to the Vikings. Again, it's either going to be Penix or they're going to trade up and get someone like JJ McCarthy. Verse to the Broncos, Bowers to the Raiders, Latu to the Saints, and then we've got Fashanu to the Colts. We are on the clock, my friend. So let's run through the process of this. This mock engine is probably going to talk the same as all of them, with Fashanu going in the first round. But as we've discussed with Charlie, and as has been all over social media and the media in general, there's those worries about the knee. Knowing what we know about a player like Abe Lucas, I think that's going to weigh heavy on our mind here.
Yeah, I think we're at the stage now with this news that we're not taking. We're not going to take him at 16. Mm-hmm. If he's there after a trade back, I think they really are considering it. I just think his stock has dropped enough that the 16th pick is off the table. A guy whose stock is rising and probably would get drafted here if he's available is Byron Murphy, I think. We spoke about it earlier with Charlie, didn't we? I think that's probably the pick if we are picking here.
I think you've got Byron Murphy, but you've also got to develop a lisp there. Sorry, Byron Murphy. But then you look at who else is here in Terry and Arnold. You look at the fact that the Eagles are desperate for that cornerback. I don't know if we go Murphy or we look at a trade here. Mitch, I'll let you decide.
Well, I think if it was Quinion Mitchell available and Terry and Arnold.
No, Quinion Mitchell went at 10.
Oh, he went. Okay. I still think they want Terry and Arnold. So I would say the Eagles are blowing up our phone right now with an offer for us for the 53rd. And I think it's 22nd. Is it 22nd as well? Yeah.
22nd and
the 53rd. Yeah. The 21st in the second round. Yeah. I think that's the offer they give us. If Terry and Arnold or Quinn, 100%. I think John Schneider's all over that.
Let's see if they accept that. And they have accepted it. Brilliant. Even though it was slightly under the trade value, they've gone for that. So we'll skip. And this is where they've taken Terry and Arnold. So that's very accurate. Nate Wiggins gone to the Jags. Fuaga to the Bengals. Chop Robinson's gone to the Rams. Brilliant. I can't wait to see him. Brian Thomas gone to the Steelers. And Powers Johnson gone to the Dolphins, where he's projected anyway. And as luck would have it, our guy's still there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I'm looking at that and thinking could happen. But then I also look at Pittsburgh and think if they see someone like Byron Murphy there, they'll take him.
Yeah.
In the interest of realism, I think we're going to be looking. DeJean's still there. Obviously, Mims is still there. Kool-Aid McKinstry, or I'm going for one of these two personally. Newton or Barton would be my picks for this. Or have you got some? Would you go for someone like DeJean?
No, I completely understand what you're saying, and I agree with you.
I'm just thinking realistically.
I think DeJean's the pick. If he's there after a trade back, I think that's a serious consideration. He's not.
It'd be a consideration, but I don't think he'd fall that low
To 22.
Possibly actually.
If there's one way that he does fall that low, and that's if Nate Wiggins goes before him, and Nate Wiggins did. I think those two are interchangeable to the Jags, and the Jags are going to take a corner. So if Mitchell goes and Arnold goes, and then Nate Wiggins is the Jags pick, DeJean does fall to us after a trade back. But I also take your point on Barton. I think Barton is the most polished interior lineman in the draft.
Loving this as well. Rumors breaking on X that the LA Rams are trying to trade into the top 10 for a non-QB player. Now, could they be looking to fill the void left by Aaron Donald?
I think that's Dallas Turner.
I think it's going to be Dallas Turner, Latu, or they might look at Byron Murphy and think, as an interior D lineman, he is the guy.
Or could it be a Jalen Ramsey replacement? 10th, getting into the top 10 pretty much assures you of one of the two cornerbacks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And if you're looking to trade before any team's on the clock, you're probably putting yourself in a one of the two or one of three players will be available. So yeah, I could see that as well. I think it's a defensive player.
I think so too. As they've especially as they've had their late round gem in Puka Nakua as their wide receiver.
Ben said that he thinks it might be Brock Bowers. If you can get ahead of the Jets, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah. I don't even know who their tight ends are now. So yeah, that's a very strong shout there. At this point, is Bowers gone yet?
Yeah, I mean, they've got one of our tight ends. They got one of our tight ends there now, haven't they? So
we've got Parkinson. Right, so
you make the call here, dude. I'm happy with DeJean. I'm happy with Newton, and I'm certainly happy with Graham Barton as well. So
I think we're going to, as we said with Charlie earlier, we think it's going to be a lineman, and I think we're going to have Spoon in everyone's ear talking about Newton. He's put it on tape. I think he's a fantastic little player. I think he's going to be looking at the average age of that D line. Take him in the first 4 years at least with a 5th-year option. I think personally that's the pick. I know everyone's high on Graham Barton, but we can pick up guards later on.
And for the sake of us making a Legion of Spoon Assemble t-shirt at some point, I absolutely think that's the play.
So we need more Illinois players. Right, there you go. So we have picked with pick 22, Johnny Newton. And then let's go to our second round pick and let's see who we can get. I won't rehash everyone else that's been picked. I'll go a couple of picks before ours and then a couple of picks after. A couple of picks. So just before us, so we had, I'll go 5 before us. Keon Coleman went to the Jags at 216. Peyton Wilson went to the Bengals at 217. Kingsley Saumatala. I should have put my glasses on. It looks like an L. Went to the Eagles at 218. Patrick Paul went to the Steelers at 219. Someone who's going to be desperately trying to keep Russell Wilson or Justin Fields on their feet. I hope he can chase after a QB who doesn't know what to do in the pocket. And then Zach Frazier, the interior lineman for West Virginia, has gone to the Rams at 220, which leaves us with Kamari Lassiter, Edger and Cooper. Now, I'm going to try and base this on as much realism as possible. I don't think Cooper's going to be there at this time. I think anyone who's going to be looking for, so you think who's ahead of us? So Braswell's gone Guyton, McConkey, Amagaji,
Summer still.
Summerstill, yeah. Xavier Worthy, Max Melton, Braylon Trice, but he is actually dropping down draft boards at the moment. So that could be chop and change there. I think Morgan, Darius Robinson, Disa Isaac, Bo Nix has gone to the Raiders, Franklin, Rexhaw Jr., Spencer Rattler went in the second to New York. So that's actually quite possible, because if they can't trade up in the first and get themselves a quarterback, I reckon that's where they'll look to take one. And then who I've just mentioned. So we've then got the choice of Laster, Cooper. We don't need another D lineman. Fisk, Ricky Pearsall, who I'd really like as well as a receiver. Tyler Newbin. If he's there, that's someone I think could be very much in high regard. Jenkins is there, and our boy Junior Colson is there in the second. Vondre Sweat's still there. Cooper Beebe is also there, and it'd be a bit of a reach for Beebe, but
I'm not sure it's a reach. But I tell you what I like here. If there's no trade back, I mean, I don't want to trade back here anyway. But if we were in this position tonight, or not tonight, it'd be tomorrow, won't it? But if we're in this position tomorrow night, I'd love to see us just maneuver back to avoid that being such a reach and taking the best interior O lineman on the board, which would be Cooper Beebe, and shore up both sides of the trenches and get a few extra day 3 picks. I think that's the ideal.
We could always try.
Yeah,
because there's nothing saying. I mean,
we're looking about 10 picks back, aren't we?
So we're going to look at Kansas or Detroit or the Ravens, because I don't think we'll trade with the 49ers.
49ers are a good target just because of how many day 3 picks they've got, though. I think they have the exact makeup of what we would be looking for here. We'd be looking for a small move back and then pick up a 5th, a 6th as well, maybe a 4th and a 6th or something. But they've got so many picks this year, and they're all like down the bottom.
So we could get 2nd and 2 fourths to trade back with the Niners. Would you think, if you think that's feasible? It's technically under the total, so I mean, we could even go.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I like the idea of moving back to avoid the breach, addressing the need, and patching a few more holes further down or later in the draft.
God, if they take BB now, I'm going to go mental. It's a risky run.
Oh, there might be Colston there as well. There's a few.
Let's do it. So let's skip back
to Vondre Sweat.
Who's gone? So Cooper. So they took Roman Wilson. Brilliant.
Braden Fisk.
Cooper, Fisk, Pearsall's gone. Tavian Sanders, Bullock, Newbin, Leggett, who is strongly rumored to be going to the Panthers if he's still available with their first pick in the 2nd round. Javen Bullard and Kamari Lassiter. So we have still got our choice of Jenkins, Colson, Sweat, Beebe, and Aroro.
Aroro. Yeah, I think it's BB here. I think that's the play.
See, I oppose this, and I'd be happy for anyone watching to jump in the comments and let us know their thoughts. Would it be Colson or BB here? Because I think it'd be Colson. If he's available, if this happens and he's available, I think that Mike Mack is going to go and pound the table and say, I coach this young man. I know exactly what he's capable of. We need inside linebackers. This kid is going to be 21 when he starts. So by the time he's finished his first contract, he'll be 25, 26.
Well, I tell you what goes massively in that. There's 2 things there. There's the Michigan connection, but then there's also the fact that this is not a good linebacker class, or not a deep linebacker class, and this is certainly a deep interior lineman class. So with those extra picks we've taken, we can take a slightly inferior interior lineman to BB, but we're certainly going to struggle to get a small sort of drop back from Coulson. So I think that makes sense. Looking at the depth of the classes, we'll go with
There
that.
you go.
I yield.
Rationale, my friend. That's
Yeah.
all. I'm looking at this as in, if we're a GM and we're looking at the board as it is, and with the amount of study we've done, like you said, it's quite a heavy O lineman class.
Mm.
And it's something that we can really lean on. But linebackers, the drop off is significant.
Well,
So
John Schneider doesn't want to pay an interior lineman anyway. So
exactly,
the later you draft them, the better in terms of that, especially if it's an improvement on your starting guards.
all right. So we might be saying goodbye to Cooper Beebe here. Let's skip to our next pick. Oh, it's just gone.
Jaden Hicks is there though, and he is shining like a beacon.
Yeah, I know. So BB went to Washington. Abrams Drain at 315 went to the Falcons, and Christian Jones, defensive tackle from Texas, went to the Bengals. So this is going to be between Jaden Hicks, Cole Bishop, Brandon Dawless could be someone they look at as well. Jalen McMillan. This might be the time where they go, right, Grubb, who do you want? Cam Kinchins is there. Trotter's there. Pooney's there as well. Stover. The meat of this draft in this portion is, I'd hate to be picking. Mahogany's there. Cedric Gray, Malik Washington. We're going further down now, but that is a hefty chunk there of people that you would not mind drafting.
This area of the draft is exactly why I'm not opposed. We had this discussion in our Discord earlier. I'm not opposed to trading down in the first round and picking up a third and some day 3 picks, because there are so many high quality players at positional needs for this franchise in that area. I think we can address an awful lot and put a lot of talent into our depth sheet at these key positions. With that, it doesn't need to be a second rounder for me.
No, I think if we're being realistic here, if we have this pick and Jaden Hicks is sitting there, this is what I said. It's going to be a Washington player. We will bring at least one in, and Jaden Hicks is possibly one of the best safeties in this class. I think Mike Mack will look at that and go,
I'm
he's
keen.
my guy.
I'm really keen.
Yeah. Right. Hicks, you're in again. Right. And then our next pick is, where are we? We're at second in the fourth. So just before us, Cedric Gray. So we had Javon Baker went to the Rams. Gray went to the Commanders. And Jermaine Burton went to the Panthers. So we have got brilliant. We've got Christian Mahogany, Malik Washington, who I love. Theo Johnson's there. Cedric Van Pran, another player who's dropped down board significantly. We've got Taylor Demerson, Roger Rosengarten. That's another Washington player. And Rosengarten, the one thing that you look at, Grubb and Huff will love the fact that he's a fantastic pulling tackle. He can get after it. Gabriel Murphy, the edge from UCLA. But Rice is there. I think this is where we go O-line.
Yeah, I agree. Mahogany stands out as a real sort of snap pick there. I think that's great.
All right. Mahogany is in for our second pick of the fourth. Let's go to our next. So pick 18 in the fourth round. Just before us, oh, there we go. Theo Johnson went to the Pats. But just before us, DJ James, cornerback from Auburn, went to the Colts. Taylor Demerson went to the Jags. And Jared Wiley, tight end from TCU, went to the Bengals. Right, so we have now got the options here. Johnny Wilson, wide receiver from Florida State. Zach Zinter's still there as well. And this is around about where I think he's going to fall in real life.
Slam dunk that. That is an absolute slam dunk. Yeah. What else have we got?
Trevor Wallace.
But we took Coulson, so we don't need to. Bo Limmer, but we don't necessarily need to.
Kevin Carson.
Jamari Thresh. Nah, none of these are standing out. Oh, McKinney Jackson, but could potentially get him late. This
I
is
was
our
gonna
last
say,
four.
we are back on and pick 24 and then pick
Okay.
32.
McKinley Jackson
So-
stands out for the next pick, but I think this is run to the
Exactly the
podium
time.
and takes into.
Like we said before, it was guard number 1 in this draft before his injury.
If we get
locking that.
Mahogany and Zinter, that our interior offensive line starts to look formidable rather than a gaping weakness. Glaring
That's
weakness.
even though we've got Lake and Tomlinson, I think one of those two will be fighting that out for the guard spot. Right, so here we are. We are back in at pick 4, pick 24, and before us went Javen Solomon, edge from Troy. Johnny Wilson's gone to the Bears, so they are in this draft stacking wide receivers. So that's a Dunze and Johnny Wilson that have gone there.
A 6'7" wide receiver, by the way. That is a different weapon to what they've got.
Big old boy. Some of the catches he made as well for the Knolls were just outstanding. Just taking the top off it. He was just mossing people. Marquise Irving as well, the running back from Oregon, went to the Broncos. Right, so for pick 24, the 4th round, Tyke Smith's still there. Jarvis Brownlee Jr. I'm not even going to look at the running back yet. Trayvon Wallace is still there. Bo Limmer. And then
McKinney Jackson.
We're at pick 24 in the 4th and pick 32 in the 4th. Our options are we pick someone and hope that Jackson's still there, or we take Jackson now, bearing in mind we took Newton at the start of this.
It's Kalen King there, isn't it? Is it one down, Kalen King?
It is.
Yeah. That was a first round cornerback at the beginning of the year. He's fallen from grace in a big way. Nehemiah Pritchett I like as well. I don't mind a corner here, Although these are again reaches at this point by this board.
Well, you've got Brownlee Jr. Just very quickly, I heard a beep, hopped onto the Discord, and I can see that Robert, our friend from Let's Talk Seahawks, has just put up a mock, and I believe we've just taken 2 of his players back to back on ours as well.
Amazing.
There you go. Great minds. Right. So what are you thinking here? I don't want to faff around with this too much. I mean, Trayvon Wallace is there.
I like it.
Developmental talent. Leichenberg's still there as well, and Jackson. And we are picking again in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 picks.
I like
9.
I like going Trevor Wallace here.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I think that's I think that's a really good pick. It's also someone we've had in on visits, and he's a do-it-all linebacker. You can see on the stats underneath him there. I think you've got sacks, tackles for losses, interceptions, passes defensed. You've got the lot. He fills the stat sheet, and next to Coulson, I think that's a really, really interesting future combo. Will and Mike.
Trevor Wallace, you are in, my friend. Now let's see if anyone picked McKinley Jackson. He is still on the board, so we know what this pick is going to be.
Yeah, I like
McKinley
it.
Jackson.
Really big,
there you go.
Really big fan of McKinley Jackson from A&M.
Go on, hit us with some stats. When we pick these, go on. You can give us your draft profiles as well.
Put me on the spot here. I just like the fact that he's a do-it-all interior lineman. If you are playing a 3 or a 4, he can play multiple positions along there. I think with the way our defensive line is going to look, I think he's actually quite a good fit for a versatile piece. Not necessarily as explosive as some of the guys you'll see further up. I mean, we already took Johnny Newton for that reason, but that is a plug and play versatile piece.
Mitch, I'm sorry, but your boy AJ Barn has just gone to the Saints in this.
Oh, that's okay. It means I'm not going to be a broken record for once, right?
Bit of variety, mate. Spice of life.
Yeah.
So just before us, so the Niners took Logan Lee, defensive lineman from Iowa. The Vikings took Kamani Vidal, the running back from Troy, and then the Steelers took Tyron Hopper, linebacker from Missouri, who I'll be very honest, I can see as a Steelers linebacker.
Yeah. I would agree.
100%.
I can see him as a Mike Mack defensive weapon as well, but you're absolutely bang on that is a great fit, in my opinion.
So we've now got the 3rd pick in the 6th. We probably should have taken a 5th rounder before. The 16th pick in the 6th and the 15th in the 7th. And sitting in front of us is Brandon Coleman, James Williams, Dallin Holker, Trice Knight, Layden Robinson, Cohen, LeMayer. I think we don't have to reach for too far down here. I think it's going to be between Coleman, Holker, and Williams. And for me, looking at who we've taken, I'm going to say we take Williams. Although we're both doing that hands on head.
We're thinking about it. We're taking it all in. Surveying the board. For me, it's Williams. I can see we've taken 2 linebackers, so the need for James Williams to play that linebacker role, which isn't really a good fit for him. He can do it, but it seems to me as well that labeling himself a linebacker was almost an attempt to do what a lot of players are now doing. Coming out of college and sort of showing that versatility, and Cody Barton did it, didn't he, years ago? So,
he moved from safety to linebacker.
If you're dwelling on big boards in 4th round and 5th round, and you think you can climb up to a late 3rd and get paid by listing yourself as something else all of a sudden, the position you haven't got all the tape on, it creates intrigue, and it potentially lifts your stock. Williams could, with who we've drafted, Williams could go back to what he's done in college, play safety, be aggressive. I like it.
I can see Williams very much as like a Jamal Adams type role for him, where we wanted to move him to Will, but he played strong safety. But I think by having someone like Williams in for 4 years from a rookie will allow us that flexibility as well. I think him listing himself as, in this, a strong safety, but he's a linebacker on pretty much every other. I think by doing that, he knows its linebacker class is quite weak and there's a severe drop-off. So anyone who looks at him and goes, actually, he can do this, this, and this. Not fantastic at one, but good on all. Are we going Williams?
Yeah, we're going Williams. I think as well he could join us. Yeah, go for it. I think he could join us as a strong safety, but he'd line up as a safety on the snap and end up being a linebacker anyway. He's going to, Mike Mack is going to move his pieces around so much that it doesn't really matter what he listed himself as coming out of college. He's going to be told he might be a corner on one or 2 plays, so it doesn't really matter.
I think it's one of those players though. You can put in the nickel. And then all of a sudden he lines up in the nickel, but then he drops all the way back to safety, or he drops back to linebacker. That's what I love about him, that positional versatility. So there you go. We've picked James Williams, which I'm more than happy with. And for anyone that's watched us for a while, you'll probably see quite a few of these repeating, but that's because that's what we genuinely think there. Right. So we are now at pick 16 in the 6th round, and this is where things get a bit.
Well, we still need to take a tight end for me, and this is where you've got some interesting prospects. Spanford there, Jack Westover's potentially a pickup there as a UDFA. Have we missed? I mean, Brevin Spanford's interesting. Could go with that. Last of the sort of draftable. Tanner McLaughlin maybe, but.
Trey Knox is there as well. Later on, though, before we go, because we've still got another pick. So this is 6-16, and like you said, someone like Westover, I think, and this was mentioned on another pod as well, would be a fantastic carryover from Grubb's system to help the tight ends know what they were doing and the rest of the offense. So that could be a 7th round pickup.
What bargain basement offering are we getting on wide receivers at this point? Is there a wide receiver that's somehow fallen to this point that we could snap up?
Not really.
Flournoy, Michigan. Anthony Gould's a fun one. Taj Washington again.
Oh, I love that pick. Jaquan Jackson.
Jaquan Jackson is my. If there's one guy I don't want to hit free agency and want to have on my roster, it's Jaquan Jackson. From these, I just think he's got that special teams sort of
Kick return.
star player quality that if he hits UDFA status, I think he's immediately having his phone blown up. So I like this one.
So do I. Right, just very, very quickly, as our good friend Charlie has just entered the chat. I'm going to pop the link to our Discord for anyone watching in our comments. So, hot news from Charlie as well. The Bears and the Rams are discussing a trade. Rams want to move up to 9, which is what's been said already, into the top 10. Now, Charlie, who are they going for, though? And here we go. There, we might. You just have to come on here as another host. Who are you thinking? We're thinking a replacement for Aaron Donald or Edge, and he's thinking Brock Bowers. So this conversation, by the way, even though this live pod's going to end, and we appreciate it's probably going to be nearly a 2-hour pod, it's the longest we've ever done, but it's such an exciting topic. Join our Discord, get into our live later. We'll be there before the draft starts at 1 a.m. UK time. Or for any of our US listeners, whatever time it is and whatever time zone you are, join us, let us know. Mitch and I are probably going to have a little 2-hour nap and then get straight back into it.
Yes.
Power napping, sir. Yes. And then so I'm excited to see this. Thank you, Charlie. There you go. The link's in the Discord for anyone who wants to join us. Join. You'll be welcome with open arms. Let's just to coin our good friends. Let's talk Seahawks in our Discord. Right. So, are you thinking for this one, Jaquan Jackson, and then we go tight end in the 7th?
I think that's just let's take Jaquan Jackson 100%, but then we need to really consider best player available as well. But tight end would be the position.
Jaquan Jackson, and then in the 7th we could take tight end, because I can guarantee there will be one there that. There you go. So we've got a choice of Devin Culp from Washington. So we can go another Coug, or is that
Culp or Westover? Yeah,
or I think it's going to be Westover. If the choice is there, I think it's going to be Westover for the Huskies connection.
If we're drafting one, I think you can get Jack Westover quite easily as a UDFA at this point, if he's not drafted. Cody Schrader's a fun one.
Yeah, I know. I literally saw that and harked back to our conversations.
Yeah.
Frank Gore Jr. is still there.
No, thank you. I respectfully decline.
Do you know what? If I was a really spiteful GM, I would go for McCaffrey, Gore, and Rice. All 3 of them. Just to watch all of their dads come into Lumen and be like, oh, God, I hate this place, but I've got to support the team now because my son plays for him. And watch Jerry Rice there with his 49ers massive helmet or whatever it is. Not calling him a helmet, although it can be at times. But yeah, so our choices are Schrader. I love it. Fabian Lovett, I think, is a late round D-line pickup. I'd take that, especially with he could act as a blocker as well on kick returns easily. We haven't taken a single edge, which I'm actually quite happy about. Oh, Sam Hartman. We could just make our team so much more pretty.
And old.
Why not? Well, yeah. Yeah,
Usually draft to get younger.
No, do you know what? Without your hat on, you're rocking pretty much the same hairstyle and beard combo as Sam Hartman. I and others may argue that you're prettier, but
I'm not sure about any of them. But it is the first time I've podded with you with a hat on, so it
is. Yeah, can everyone appreciate this? And we're desperately trying to find Mitch another hat, because I have a collection that I'm going to have to start wearing more of, because my wife comes into my office and goes, "Do you actually wear any of them?" So today I opted for the old draft hat. I've got the new one coming at some point. But yeah,
I'm one of the most awkwardly sized human beings on the planet. So finding a hat to fit my head was almost impossible. So we finally got
was it? What's the So I Married a Serial Killer. Have you seen that film? Mike Myers. He's like, "Oi,
no,
move your head." Oh, it's like a planetoid. It's got its own gravitational pull. It's basically the exact same accent he does for Fat Beasted in The Spy Who Whatever.
That accurately describes my head situation, honestly. So yeah, I can see the connection.
Mate, you're talking to a guy who's at the age of 8. My head fit into my dad's actual policeman helmet. Perfect. He's an adult male, and there was me at the age of 8 going, "This is brilliant." Right. So anyway, back onto our mock. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Are you thinking, because Westover, like I said, could be a UDFA? Do you want to take that risk? Or
well, I tell you what we haven't taken in this entire draft, and that's cover at tackle. Is there a tackle prospect there? Frank Crum is an interesting one. Frank Crum was a bit of a darling at the combine, but with his long curly blonde hair and throwing up appreciation to the crowd that were cheering him on, and he really made a name for himself. So I quite like the Frank Crum thing. I love the hair. I know that's not a reason to draft him, and he'll probably shave his head.
Like you're mocking me with the hair.
Honestly, though, Frank Crum was so fun at the combine, and we do need to take a tackle. Yeah, I really like that pick. I feel very good about that pick, actually.
Okay, so
he's also quite a good player.
Oh, that's a good job, really. It's not just the hair, right?
Yeah.
So we'll take Crum. Right, you, that's on you. Crum in the 7th. So
he's recently been mocked to us, actually, Crum. So I'm not on my own.
Great mock. I love that.
Always a great mock.
I love the Doc Brown. It's every single time. It brings a smile to my face every time I do a mock on this. So let's do a quick recap. So we won't bother doing the top 10 on this because, as we all know, the draft engines never get it the right order, but they're all usually about right, apart from the trades. So we traded back with the Eagles. We traded pick 16 for pick 22 and the 21st in the second round. So we picked pick 22, Johnny Newton, D lineman from Illinois. At pick 231, we picked Junior Colson, the linebacker from Michigan. If those two picks happen, I am done. That's me. Happy with that.
Yeah.
At pick 317, we've got Jaden Hicks from Washington State. Before that, we traded pick 221 to San Francisco for 231, 424, and 432. It hurts my heart to have traded with the 49ers. It really does. I feel dirty, like I'm going to have a bleach bath in a minute.
It's all right trading with your rivals if you're fleecing them, though.
Yeah,
we're not doing them a favor.
If it was the Cardinals, I could kind of give it to them because they're a bit of a poverty franchise at the moment. Yeah,
and whoever they draft with our pick will be an absolute letdown anyway because they can't draft.
Well, yeah, fair enough. But I just, when it comes to someone like the Rams, obviously they proved how well they're doing as a team. And, the 49ers have had our number for a few years. I don't really want to give them more firepower, but fine, we fleeced them. So we traded that. We picked Jaden Hicks, and then we went for Christian Mahogany in pick 2 of round 4, which I'm well happy about. We've basically gone back-to-back interior linemen. And then at pick 18 of the 4th, we've gone Zach Zinter, this is a tackle, but he's a guard from Michigan. At pick 424, or round 4, pick 24, we've gone Trevin Wallace, linebacker from Kentucky. Pick 4, round 4, pick 32, McKinley Jackson, D-line from Texas A&M. Round 6, pick 3. I'm going to get it right at some point. We picked James Williams, the strong safety / linebacker / cornerback / free safety from Miami, from the U. And then pick 16 in the 6th, we've got Jaquan Jackson, wide receiver from Tulane. And then pick 15 in round 7, we went for Frank Crum. I can't wait if we draft him for some random person to be wearing that jersey. That's definitely going to be you. I may contribute to that for you.
It would be me.
The offensive tackle from Wyoming. And as we know, players from Wyoming that are underrated, that do get drafted into league, don't always fare badly. Please see Josh Allen. So that right there is our final mock before it all happens. We're going to put that up on our social media so you can see it on our X, Instagram, Facebook group. If you've not joined the Facebook group, please join, because this goes live on there. So if you're more on Facebook than YouTube or X, perfect place to get it. Let us know what you think. By all means, we are happy to field any comment, whether it is positive or negative. We'll take it on board. I quite like that. I think that's the best one we've done, considering everything. For those of you that are tuning in as well, thank you so much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell as well. That massively helps, and you'll be kept up to date with whenever we go live. All these pods are live. We're going to start putting them out as well as the pre-recorded ones, and share. So if you're in a group, or you are in a WhatsApp group, or whatever you're in, share, let people know about us. If you want to appear as well, hit us up. You can join our Discord, talk to all of us, talk to the rest of the fans and our listeners and our viewers. And you can send us a cheeky DM as well to say, look, I'd love to come on. I've got a lot of things I want to discuss post-draft. Mitch is going into dark mode already. You can tell he's just going to sit back in a minute. He's going to lean back and his eyes will close. The arms will come up like the Undertaker.
That's what happens on Sunday when the draft ends. I go back into hibernation.
The draft goblin goes back into his cave. But yeah, obviously join our Discord. We're going to be live streaming this. We'll have the draft on, so you can talk to us on voice chat. You can talk to us via messages, whatever it's called on there. And we're just going to thoroughly enjoy this. Obviously, don't forget, if you like what we're doing, buy us a coffee. The link's down below. Don't have to. Can be a beer, can be a book, can be a pizza, whatever. Mitch and I aren't the most slender of people, so we're quite happy with a pizza.
True.
I'll send it all the way over to you, mate. It may be a bit cold.
Cold pizza's fine.
Yeah, I can deal with that. But yeah, and we use Walk the Mock for all of our mock drafts. Thank you so much. If you want to use it again, like Mitch said earlier, if you subscribe for a year now, you've got it all the way up for the next lot of rounds for this draft, and then next year's draft, and use our code 12talk and you get 20% off. Perfect. Mitch,
yes,
is there anything you'd like to say to the viewers, the subscribers, everyone that's come on board for us today? And thank you again so much. It's been brilliant chatting to all of you and having you all in the comments.
No, I mean he's not here now because he's off being busy. But I will extend a big thank you to Charlie, because he always comes on and gives us such great insight. Thank you to everyone that's commented and interacted with us. It's absolutely what we're about. We love being able to riff off you guys' sort of interaction. So that's great. And I hope everyone has a really good weekend enjoying the draft. Just remember, you're not always going to get your guy, but the guy picked will be someone else's guy. So. In a draft sense, you know what I mean.
We get you. Don't worry.
Celebrate every pick, whether it's your guy or not. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's it. I'm just going to celebrate Latu being picked by whoever, providing he goes to the right team. I think he would be outstanding. He is my guy. Spinal cord injuries unite. But yeah, I mean, I think I speak for both of us when I say thank you so much. So from me, from Mitch, we've been the 12 Talk podcast. We're a podcast by 12s, for 12s, with 12s. If you want to appear, slide into our DMs. We take a little bit of flirting. We're quite easy to sway. Not too heavy though. I'm married. But we're more than happy to have anyone on. If you know someone who has got an opinion, who you think would be fantastic to come and speak to us, by all means. When the draft finishes, we've got pods coming up. We've got other guests lined up as well. And then the season will be upon us in no time. And I cannot wait. Lastly, again, massive thank you to the German Seahawkers for your amazing stash and the UK Seahawkers for sponsoring our draft content. If you want to hear anything from any of them, you can find the UK Seahawkers on Facebook via their Facebook group. German Seahawkers are under GER Seahawkers on X. If you want to join them, you get some fantastic stash. They're really awesome guys. And just because they're from Germany doesn't mean that you have to try and learn German. Although they did send me a lovely magazine, which means I'm going to have to dust off my German vocabulary book and try and remember the 5 years I spent living in Germany to try and read it. So I think Google Translate might be my friend for that one. But for me, for Mitch, am I pointing the right way, Mitch?
You are.
Yes. I get it eventually.
Very good.
That one, yeah.
Very good.
Right. For me, for Mitch, happy Draftmas. We will hopefully speak to a lot of you in our Discord. And if not, tune into our socials and you will find out when the next episode is. We will be doing a draft recap when this draft is finished. And let's see how close our final mock was. Apart from that, good night. God bless. Peace out.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.